Maverick is back, and your dad is so happy about it. The Top Gun sequel is already a massive hit with both older and younger audiences. This state-of-the-art film is a surprising throwback to 80s and 90s action movies. It's 30 years after the original, but Top Gun Maverick has loads of references and callbacks to the first movie. Here are some of the biggest ones. Spoiler warning for Top Gun Maverick. Obviously, the biggest connection to the original is the main character. This isn't one of those in-name only sequels like your lesser franchises. I'm looking at you, the Sniper series. Pete Maverick Mitchell has grown, but not necessarily changed since audiences saw him last in 1986. He is now a test pilot working on a top-secret program, and his distaste for military authority leads him to crashing an expensive new aircraft. It's an extension of his character from the first film, where he would routinely disobey orders like flying below the training hardline. He is usually yelled at, but not really punished for these actions. Disobeying the orders of a superior officer does not really work this way in real life. People in the Navy should not try this at home. The following scene where Ed Harris reprimands Maverick, but begrudgingly sends the pilot back to Top Gun, is almost an exact copy of the first film, where General Hummel was played by Principal Strickland.
Son, your ego is writing checks your body can't cash.
This time, Pete is sent to train the new generation of pilots at the request of his former locker room buddy, Iceman. Speaking of Maverick's old rival, Val Kilmer returns as Iceman, who has now reached the rank of Admiral and is using his influence to place Maverick in charge of a dangerous new mission. It looks like in the 30 years between films, Maverick and Iceman's relationship only grew closer.
You can be my wingman anytime.
The two exchange texts, and there's a tearful scene where they meet up in person. Kilmer has been battling throat cancer in real life, and his character is similarly afflicted. It's a highlight seeing these two together on screen again, and Iceman is still giving Maverick lots of correct advice. One of the more blatant callbacks is the whole opening of the film. Movies in the 80s and before had longer openings with more focus on an overture or song. It mostly has to do with various Hollywood unions and crediting actors and production, but it's been a great excuse for some pretty memorable film-based bangers. One of the most iconic examples is the Kenny Loggins jam, Danger Zone. Both movies open with the Top Gun theme, and then burst to life with the Loggins song over footage of top-of-the-line fighter jets taking off and landing on a massive aircraft carrier. In the first film, it's the USS Enterprise, while here, it's the USS Theodore Roosevelt. 30 years later, and Danger Zone still gets your blood pumping and your heart beating. It made me stand up in the theater and yell, "Yeah, let's go planes!" The ushers were not impressed. Fortunately, they couldn't stop me from sneaking back in after I bought a ticket for Morbius. It's brought up multiple times throughout the film that Maverick is responsible for shooting down 3 enemy fighters in combat. First is during Ed Harris's reprimand for crashing a multi-million-dollar experimental aircraft. Maverick himself is quick to use it as a boast as well, telling Rooster that he used an F-14 to shoot down 3 MiGs in '86. By the end of the film, Maverick has added 2 Su-14s to that count. 5 down fighters, as noted by another character, officially makes Maverick an ace.
I feel the need for speed.
Speaking of cool fighter jets, there's a callback in a big way with the film's climax. When Maverick and Rooster are shot down, they decide to steal an older F-14 from the enemy. The F-14 Tomcat is the same model plane that was heavily featured in the original film. As Maverick notes, it's the same type of plane that he used in the first movie's climax, and that he flew with Rooster's father, Goose. Call signs are kinda dumb.
Name's Pete Thompson. Everybody calls me Dead Meat.
Rooster takes the place of co-pilot and Rio, the same as his father did. Unlike his father though, he has trouble figuring out the ancient fighter jet. The enemy nation in the film has F-14s because since the first movie, models have been sold and traded to foreign nations like Iran and Saudi Arabia. The country in Top Gun Maverick is unnamed, however, so it could just as easily be Latveria. Before Maverick even gets to Top Gun Academy, he's already playing the hits. Pete dusts off his old leather jacket, which is adorned with the various flight and mission patches from his career, minus Taiwan. Please buy our movie tickets, China. He then throws the cover off his original Kawasaki Ninja motorcycle and takes a ride. He's basically cosplaying as his 20-year-old self when he roars down the road next to a fighter jet taking off. Maverick is a lot like Michael Jordan, dressing the same as when he peaked. Speaking of characters doing uncomfortable cosplay, later in the film we are introduced to Bradley Bradshaw, who goes by Rooster because his regular name makes him sound like a Stan Lee character. He confidently strides into a bar in a Hawaiian shirt, aviators, and then there's also the primo thick stash.
About 2 meters. Well, it's actually about 1.5.
Yes, from his distinctive look, it's obvious he can only be the son of one man, Thomas Magnum from Magnum P.I. Yeah, he's the son of Goose, and the strange recreation of his father's look and style is an odd choice. Anthony Edwards looked like that because the movie was made in 1986, not because it was genetic.
Police at Rooster!
It really only serves as an excuse for the rest of the team to figure out Rooster's patronage from some old photos. I guess it is helpful in case you were in the audience and you missed the earlier briefing scene because you were forced to watch 10 minutes of Morbius before sneaking back in. Hangman is one of the new pilots training under Maverick, and there's one big problem for Pete Mitchell. This guy is exactly the kind of he used to be. Yes, Hangman is the clearest stand-in for younger Maverick. The pilot is named Hangman because he always leaves people hanging. He is known for abandoning his wingman in order to showboat or chase his own action. Maverick had the same problem in the original film and was called out on it several times.
Stay with Hollywood, Mav. We're covering his wing.
I'm going after Viper.
A few minutes later.
Bingo, Maverick's dead. You're out of there, kid.
At the end of the first movie, he overcomes this flaw in order to shoot down 3 enemy planes and save Iceman's life. Hangman gets to save Maverick and Rooster's life at the end of the film, but is still a dick about it. One of the more famous and debated scenes in the original film is when Tom Cruise is playing with the boys. Yes, that's the name of the song for this very homoerotic scene. Well, being an iconic scene, it's due for a repeat in what is largely a soft remake of the first movie. This time there are some changes, like the song for one. It's Now I Ain't Worried by One Republic. They are also playing a different game with a variation of American football called dogfight football. The scene also has more of a purpose this time, serving as a way for Maverick to build a bond amongst his team. He also has a few moments of seeing his dead friend in the young pilot, Rooster. Also like the original, Tom decides to negate all the sweaty, shirtless men he's been hanging out with by going to see his lady love immediately.
I'm not gay, I'm not gay, I'm not gay.
Maverick was known for one particularly infuriating move in the original film. Buzzing the tower is when a pilot passes extremely close and fast to the command tower on either an airfield or an aircraft carrier. There was a running joke in the first film where a ranking official would spill his coffee every time Maverick flew past dangerously close. Screw that guy, am I right? Wanting people to be safe? Like a loser? At the end of the sequel, they are triumphantly flying back in a barely functioning 30-year-old F-14, and Maverick still finds the time to once again buzz the tower. This time, the coffee guy is replaced with John Hamm. It makes him a very mad man. I regret nothing. You can't reference a film harder than by literally just showing whole clips from it. At several points in the film, there are flashbacks, which are really just scenes from the first movie set to black and white. It's a tactic that has been employed by greater films, like Jaws the Revenge. We see flashbacks to Goose's death and the drama surrounding it. There's also a black and white photograph that's literally just a screen grab from the end of the first movie. It's the moment Maverick and Iceman became friends. And I guess just off screen was a guy with a camera. Convenient camera guy returns to take a similar picture of Rooster and Maverick at the end of this movie. He must be following Maverick around like the hot dog guy from The Simpsons.
Lee, he's putting my kids through college.
So Top Gun Maverick was pretty fun, right? This throwback film was an exciting action flick and hopefully means a return to more practical effects and stunts. The jet sequences and clear stakes helped drive investment in what was a once very standard kind of movie. The film obviously has great reverence for the original, but also improves on that movie's flaws. The training has a clear objective now, and they even give some characters arcs. Top Gun, it's not just for boomers anymore.